never be given by a human being. The Torah says, how do you know which cow is kosher and not? First, you have to make sure that it doesn't have any other hair but red. Okay. Second, it's not enough to have a red cow. You have to get a red cow that nobody ever used that cow to work with that or to put any weight on the back of the cow. If a person had a red cow in his farm and he put a bag of flour on top of that red cow, this cow cannot be used. It's obsolete. How would we know? There's no way to know. So the Torah asks a question. Is a Jew allowed to buy a red cow from a non-religious person or from a Gentile that he doesn't have an understanding about red cow? We just have a red cow and he wants to sell it to the Jews. Can we rely on his word that this cow was never used? Since obviously he didn't know the importance of that cow. Maybe he used it already. And when he found out that you're not allowed to use it, not necessarily is going to tell you the truth, because the difference between a regular cow to a red cow could be millions of dollars in our time. So the answer of the Torah, absolutely yes. You can buy it from him and you don't even have to trust his word. There's ways to tell. As usual, 2 witnesses, 2 signs. And this is what the oral Torah brings us a story. The Torah says there was one Gentile. One day he had a red cow, and he realized that this is an important thing, that he got very lucky. He asked his neighbor, and they told him, the neighbor, that the Jews will pay him any amount of money. When finally the regular price at that time was 4 coins of gold, he raised the price to 1,000 coins of gold. And the treasury of the temple came with money, and they had to agree because they need that red cow. So they told him, tomorrow morning we'll come with a bag with 1,000 coins of gold and we'll buy this cow from you. Make sure it's ready for us. That Gentile didn't want to give them what they want. So he went and put a bag on top of that cow and he said, you know what? I'll sell them the cow, but I don't want them to have the cow as they wish to have. When the Jews came in the morning, they spilled 1,000 coins of gold on the table, and he couldn't believe seeing so much gold. He brought the red cow out, and the Jews said, before you touch the money, we want to examine the cow. One rabbi looked at the eyes of the cow, the other one looked at the neck of the cow with a magnifying glass, checking something. The Gentile didn't understand what's going on. And after a minute, the rabbis told him, we're very sorry, there's no deal. The deal is off. What happened? You put, from yesterday to today, you put weight on the back of the cow. The Gentile asked, how do you know that I put weight? You were here to see? So we don't need to be here. We know God told us when he gave us the Torah in Mount Sinai, the secret of this red cow. What is the secret of this red cow? Once you put weight on the back of it, or even you sit on the cow, or any weight is put on the back of the cow, from that moment, the eyes of the cow become cross-eyed. It doesn't go straight as it was, ever again. And there is another sign. There are 2 hairs in the neck. Those 2 hairs are falling down, and there's no way to raise them back. Never. You can brush it as much as you want. They keep falling down. Those are the 2 signs to know that this red cow was used, and now it became obsolete. Now I want to ask you a question. What human being would even dream to look in the hair of the cow? There's probably millions of hairs. First of all, how would he know that this is one of the signs? How does he know where those 2 hairs? It's from millions of hairs. Where to look for 2 hairs out of millions? Where exactly they are? How would he know that after you put weight, those 2 hairs are falling down? What's the connection? There's no way to know. Nobody would even imagine such a thing. How would a person know that after you put a weight on a red cow, the eyes become cross-eyed? When you use a regular cow or an ox, you put as much as weight as you want, the eyes are still staying straight. But the red cow, there's something unique about it. The only way to know that was to receive this information from the creator of the cows, the creator of the whole world. There's no other way. So the person would know what to look for. And this, for another example that we use, leaves no doubt that the Torah, and this is, remember, this is the oral Torah, and now, needless to say, the written Torah, the oral Torah, speaking about this, can never be given by a human being. I move on. By the way, at the end of that story, that this Gentile went inside and hung himself and committed suicide, and after seeing what he just had in his hand, and he blew it up. And we move on to the next example. The arguments, if the world is round, took place for many, many years. As I mentioned before, when Columbus went around the world and he arrived to the same port, basically the argument was over. This was 500 years ago. The truth is that only ignorance made us believe that the argument should have finished 500 years ago, because if we read the book of Isaiah, chapter 40, verse 22, it says that the world is round. Ayoshev al chug haaretz, which means God is watching the earth, and the earth is moving in a circle. And even Rashi, one of the commentators on the Torah, which lived in France 950 years ago, he himself, as a commentator on the Torah, lived 450 years before Columbus. And he writes clearly, round, it's going in circle, the earth. So obviously you see that the prophet 2,600 years ago, 2,100 years before Columbus, it's written in Isaiah that the world is round. Where was the argument coming from? Only from ignorance. It's a verse inside the Bible. Even Christians and Muslims believe in this Bible. But yet, many scientists and philosophers were arguing if the world is flat or round or different shape, when you have a clear verse inside the Bible. I always said that the biggest danger to the life of a person is ignorance. Not necessarily only in religion. It could be in computer. You don't know. You can waste hours every day. If you don't know the functions of the computer, you waste a lot of time. In medicine, in accounting, in many different things, the most important thing is the purpose of life, which is to follow the test that God sets for us. If you don't know the rules, there's no way to succeed. But we'll talk about it later. As we move on, the next example that I would like to talk about is the Gemara in Babylonian Talmud, in the chapter of Megillah, page 6. The Gemara is speaking about the foundation of Germany. And the Gemara says that Rabbi Yitzchak says, in the name of Jacob, one of the three fathers, that Jacob says to God, don't let my brother Esau succeed in his plan. His plan is to destroy my descendants. Remember, this is twin brothers, came from the same mother, Jacob and Esau. And in their lifetime, they were already enemies. And their descendants, the descendants of Jacob, his name was changed to Israel in the Torah, and the Jews came from him. And Esau was the European, the Germans, the Nazis, and many other countries that came from him. And it's very interesting, because this is now the Torah describing Germany 2,000 years before Germany was founded. There was no country Germany 2,000 years ago. Nobody could know the name. But it's inside the Talmud, clearly. The Talmud says that Jacob was hoping that God will not make Esau successful. Why? Because his descendants will arm the nation of Israel. And the Gemara says, this is Germany of Edom. Edom is Esau. That if they will succeed, they will try to destroy the whole world. And comes the Gemara and say, you should know, there are 300 tribes in the country of Germany of Edom. This was 2,000 years ago. Only 200 years approximately ago, there was a person named Bismarck who took all the barbarian tribes in Germany and combined them into the German Republic. After he did that, later, years after, it became Germany. And how did he make Germany? From what tribes? Bavaria, Silesia, Westphalia, all these tribes. He combined them together.